You good? Iowa State going after Purdue today. But I'm seeing there that Whitloff confirmed that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Good afternoon. We'll be joined by Purdue student athletes Jaden Ivey, Eric Hunter Jr., and Mason Gillis. Please raise your hand with a question, wait for the microphone, and then start with your name and media affiliation, please, when called upon. If you are joining us by Zoom and you have a question, please use the function to raise your hand. Patrick Reed will hook you up. A reminder, too, that if you have additional interview requests for student athletes, please work with the school SID.
Nope. Yeah.
Overtime in Fort Worth.
Questions for the student athletes, please.
Jaden, I'll begin with you, Olivia Ray with Wish TV here. We saw the graphic that Purdue put out last night, and it had your name next to Big Dog. And we've drawn those comparisons all year long, I think since your career started, but over 20 points in 2 NCAA tournament games. What does that mean to you to have your name mentioned along the likes of Glenn Robinson?
Honestly, it's just an honor to, be recognized with some of the greats, at Purdue. And, I'm just, thankful to just be in this position. I put a lot of work into it to, be here and, to be at Purdue. So I just, I'm just very thankful and humble.
Yeah, Jeff Howe, Horns 24/7 for Jaden and Eric. Just in the scouting you guys have gotten in the last few hours, what are your early impressions of the Texas guards and how tough they guard people on the perimeter?
They're very tough, especially offensively. They got some tough guards that can get a bucket. As far as, the Big 12, it's a physical conference. So I'm already knowing they're going to be, very physical come tomorrow. So, we just got to be ready for it. And, we've been in some physical battles, all year. So we just got to embrace it.
Oh, go ahead, if you want to weigh in.
That's okay.
Okay.
Brian Newbert from GoldenBlack.com. Eric, obviously this will be probably the third, fourth, fifth time you've had to guard Marcus Carr. Can you kind of break him down a little bit? How much does your experience with him help you going into this?
I think it'll help me a lot, but I mean, players change and people get better. So just being able to touch up on newer film and also watching, the past couple times that I played him will be important for me. And yeah, I mean, he's a good player, so it'll be a tough matchup.
Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. For Jaden and Mason primarily, can you talk a little bit about Travion's passing ability, what he does in practice, what he does in games, and how he's developed it?
I think he's always been a great passer ever since he was little, middle school, high school-ish. He has a gift for it. He's a very unselfish person, so I think that helps on the basketball court. We've been telling him to just go get buckets and just trust his instinct to pass second. And so whenever he does that, his natural ability shows.
He said it.
For Jaden, I imagine you're pretty zoned into your own game right now, but will you have time to watch your mom's team tonight? And also, I was just wondering, when she sends you a text or something after a game, does she critique your play? Does she just say nice game, or what's it generally like when she kind of responds to how you played yesterday or whenever?
Well, I'm definitely going to be tuning in tonight. Very excited, for her, her first March Madness. I know she's, pretty geeked up for it. And, I know when I have games, I have bad games, and whether I have good games or not, she always, says great game and, keep your head high and just stay positive through, all the circumstances that I've been through all season. So.
For Jaden and Mason, can you guys both just kind of share with us what you think of Texas' defense from what you've seen so far and what makes them tough?
They're very versatile. They have their guards that can get a bucket anytime that they want. So we're going to have to work on that, just shutting them down, making everything tough for them. And then their big men, they're just very agile around the court, getting rebounds. I think our biggest thing is just limiting our turnovers and limiting their rebounds.
Yeah, Mike Carmen, Lafayette Journal and Courier. For Eric, you mentioned that players change like Marcus Carr. Where have you seen his game maybe evolve as you studied him over the last couple years?
I think now he's like more of a patient player. I think that comes with the nature of going to a different program. In Minnesota, he was asked a lot of him to make plays, put the ball in the basket, and now he does a little bit more playmaking than usual, but he definitely can put the ball in the basket whenever he wants to. So definitely got to watch out for that.
George Bremer from CNHI Sports Indiana. For any of you, you mentioned being in physical games before. Is there any opponent you can kind of compare Texas's defense to that you've seen earlier this year?
I would say Indiana or Michigan State. any of those teams that are super physical and try to knock you out of your stuff. Well, as far as being physical on the perimeter, yeah. So basically, kind of those two. I don't know who else really.
Yeah, I'd agree.
For Mason, real quick, this is kind of random, but the last 3 or 4 games, you've made a bunch of plays off closeouts. Are people covering you differently when you get the ball out on the perimeter? They maybe running out to you a little harder where you're able to get that dunk at Wisconsin. I think you made a pull-up against somebody, and you made one like a little runner yesterday. Are people kind of giving you that?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I had a pretty good shooting season towards the beginning of the season, and so people started to just kind of see that and try to take me away from it. And so I was able to show some other parts of my game that I work on, and I'm just ready for anything that they want to throw at me.
Anything else for the student athletes? All right, guys, thank you. Good luck tomorrow night. Purdue head coach Matt Painter will be here in a few moments. Joined now by Purdue head coach Matt Painter. Questions, please.
Coach, I have two quick ones for you here, and I believe you're doing probably what we were all doing right here and watching the 1 seed in the East.
I was not.
Fall.
I was doing Westwood Radio.
Well, can I break the news to you then? Baylor just lost to North Carolina. So
Really?
we will lead with that, I think. Olivia Ray here with Wish TV to talk about, I think, the East right now and how it's played out. I know that you are focused on the game ahead of you, but it's hard not to understand that Kentucky and Baylor have now gone down.
Yeah, our focus is on Texas. We know how hard this game is going to be. I think they're a great defensive team. They have great experience at the guards. They've taken, I think when you take a lot of transfers, it takes a little bit of time. But by the end of the year, you're a great team and they're a great team. And I think that's where our focus is trying to handle their defensive pressure, trying to handle them on the other end and a lot of their ISOs and the way they break you down and really put you in a bind because they have great guards that can dribble, pass, and shoot. They have a matchup nightmare in Allen at the 4. They have good bigs that do a good job at defending at the rim and defending out. So it's going to be, and they have depth. They have 9 guys that they can go to and really cause you problems. So that's where our focus, is. I really wasn't watching that game. Even though they told me what the score was, I wasn't watching it.
Well, there are 20 seconds left, so.
That's good.
Down by 6 right now. Next question then, a lot of what you just mentioned all falls back on Chris Beard, who you know well, Purdue knows well in the tournament and has come out on the wrong end of a lot of his coaching. So what that says about him and I guess what you can draw from those past experiences heading into tomorrow.
Well, he's a fabulous coach. He's done a great job at all of his stops, and obviously we've gotten beat by them when he was at Arkansas Little Rock and when he was at Texas Tech. So, he's just done a great job of preparing his team, playing hard, playing defense, sharing the basketball. Obviously, he's had good pieces at all of his stops because that's the key. It's a player's game. But no, I can't say enough good things about him. And obviously, you learn from your losses. And that's what you want to do, even though both the teams that we had were a little different. There are some still similar players there, but none of the players on this team were on either one of those teams. But obviously, from a coaching standpoint, you learn from it. You want your teams to be as tough as their teams. You want your teams to be able to compete like that. And that's why he keeps getting really good jobs, and that's why they keep advancing in the tournament.
Hey, Matt. Brian Davis, Austin American-Statesman. I just want to hear the story about you convincing him to go to the ABA.
I didn't convince him to go to the ABA. He wanted, obviously he had some other options that he was trying to get, but he didn't want a gap in his resume. And so I knew one of the guys that was running the team, and so he reached out to me and about going to the ABA or whatever. And so I didn't know if that was the best thing to do, but he wanted to stay in coaching. He didn't want to have that gap, on his resume. So I just didn't think from all the experiences he'd already had if that was the best thing. So I wasn't trying to convince him of that, but he obviously, anytime you got a chance to coach, whether it's minor leagues, kind of semi-pro like basketball, man, your love for coaching. A lot of the guys, George Karl and Phil Jackson, who coached in the CBA and, did summer stuff overseas and different experiences, I think can really grow you as a coach. And obviously, he's a fabulous coach and had some bad breaks there. And then obviously since then, he's made some really good breaks for himself.
Brian Newbert, GoldenBlack.com. Matt, kind of a two-part deal here. Can you just break down what makes Texas's defense really good in terms of what they try to take away and how they do it? And then also, how much can Eric's experience on Marcus Carr help you from a defensive perspective?
Well, I think first of all, just their pressure on the basketball. They have big physical guards with a lot of experience. They've been in a lot of big-time games, and their ability to not have to help all the time. When they do have to help, they're great at it. They really do a great job of swarming the basketball, but they're not in help constantly. I think when you're constantly in help as a team, you're going to get in trouble with good offensive teams. They do a good job of just guarding the basketball and making it really difficult. Then they have those interchangeable pieces, kind of at the 3, 4, 5 spots that are very long and athletic, that really disrupt what you want to do. In terms of Marcus Carr, obviously, you know, with him playing at Minnesota, we know how dangerous he is. He's a very good guard. He's gotten the best of us a couple times, and we have a lot of respect for him. And Eric's guarding him, and some of our other guys have guarded him too. And I think they would say the same thing. You know, you just have to work hard. Anytime you face great players, you have to work hard and make them earn it. And he's one of those guys that can make difficult shots and difficult plays, especially, you know, in crunch time.
Hey, Matt, Cedric Golden, Austin American Statesman. You know, in our generation, we grew up with guys dumping the ball in to Patrick Ewing, Ralph Sampson. Right. Well, those were the glory days, you know, before we got old. You've always had 7-footers on your team, and how good a job has your team done in getting the ball to Zach? And also, what's your philosophy on 7-footers? Because you always seem to have a couple hanging around.
Well, first of all, we work really hard to try to get them in position to be effective. And it's more of a ball screen motion kind of landscape in our game, and rightfully so, because the ball screen's very difficult, you know, to defend. And the low post game, especially professionally, is not as much. And I think analytics has had something to do with that also. But as long as the bonus is at 7 in the college game and it stays put, and you know, if you can get guys that can shoot 65, 70%, and they can get the ball from 5 to 8 feet, it just makes sense. But you have to get the right guys. So I'll talk sometimes in clinics, and I'll say, hey, this is really effective, but Caleb Swanigan is the guy we're throwing it to, or A.J. Hammonds is the guy we're throwing it to, or Isaac Haas. Our players are quality players. We just put a lot of emphasis on it, and then as it's went along, we've just kind of naturally, from Carl Landry to Juwan Johnson to, you know, all the guys that we've had, you know, we can talk about 7 to 8 different guys in the past 15 years, and they look at it and they know, like, hey, like, we're going to get the ball if we go here. You know, sometimes those big guys that go other places, they can get the ball, but they got to get it off the glass. They got to run on the break. They got to dive to get it, which there's nothing wrong with any of those things because they're all great. But will they really get it and be a focal point of their offense? I think that's the question for size when they get recruited. We show them through numbers now. And I think that's the piece. Before, everybody gets on the phone and says, oh, we run, or we're a fast break team, and there was no numbers to be seen. Now you can see, you can show them numbers. Okay, here's our offensive efficiency. Here's how much we get the ball inside. You know, and then the flip of it, like with guards, like we've had some really good guards through the years, Eachwan Moore, Carson Edwards, Jaden Ivey, just to name a few. And so, like, we've just tried to get skill with that size, and then if you can have a dynamic player with them, and then you have a really good low post player, a dynamic player, and then a lot of skill, a lot of heady players, and that kind of completes for a good team. So that's our recipe that we try to get to. We don't draft, so we recruit. So, like, we always know who we want, but sometimes we can't get them. And so that's the difficult part. But that's part of it. You know, we all know who we can date. You know, you got to figure out, even though we like to lie to ourselves, you know, you got to figure out, like, hey, I can stay in this race and get 2nd or 3rd place, and that doesn't help you. 2nd or 3rd place in recruiting gets you fired. You know, you got to figure out who you can get, and if you can't get somebody, you got to move to the next guy pretty quickly so you're not stuck waiting on that guy and end up with nobody. Oh, you're a lifesaver.
Matt, Bob Kravitz with The Athletic. How have you seen Trevion's passing develop? Did he come to school with a gift?
Yes.
And has he just developed it, and how has he done so?
Yeah. You know, he naturally can see things, and he's got a really good feel and a really good instinct. At times, you know, it's that blessing that he has, and then when he tries to overdo it a little bit, that's when he gets into trouble. But anybody that can see the floor like that and pass, you know, you have some of those moments where you thread the needle a little bit too much, or you try to find somebody who's not quite there. You're kind of envisioning something that could kind of matriculate into a play or could not. I call them maybe passes. He has some of those maybe passes, but it's a great weapon because if he can get the ball close to the rim, he can score it, and now they got to make a decision. Do they double or don't they double? And then he's such a good offensive rebounder, you know, and so any of those kind of opportunities that get there, you know, he's really a dual threat type guy with his ability to score and pass.
Matt, Jim Polzane from the Wisconsin State Journal. This question isn't specifically about you. I just kind of speaking in general and want your opinion. How much should a coach be measured by results this time of year, do you think?
How much should he be measured, or how much is he kind of measured? I mean, it's what you're measured on. You're measured on the success that you have in winning championships or competing for championships. I thought this year we put ourselves in a position to win a championship. We didn't. It's a fine line. We put ourselves in a position to win a tournament championship. We didn't, but we still put ourselves in position for both. And now here we are in position again. But there's another team out there. Like when you guys ask questions a lot of times, that doesn't get brought up, that, you know, the team that you're getting ready to play and you lose those games. Like that team's a really good team. Like they didn't slip on a banana peel and get into the second round. They earned their way too. And so like when you get on a neutral court, you know, everything kind of, you're not on the road, you're not at home, it's the end of the year, everybody kind of knows what you're doing. Even though in the tournament you're not as familiar, especially in that second game. But yeah, that's just the way it is, you know. That's how you get gauged, and if that bothers you, that this is probably not your profession. You know, you got to be able to, I try to be process-based. You know, you lose a game in the NCAA tournament, learn from it. Try to be better so you can win the next one. You know it's going to be difficult because you got to get yourself back there again and regroup and everything, but that's part of dusting off and getting off the canvas and going to fight again, and that's what we try to do. Obviously, you want to keep rolling and win games, but, you know, it's part of competition.
Coach Painter, Rocket Haverland, the Purdue exponent. Texas is known for their no-middle, very physical defense. Is that going to change the way you utilize Ivy, a player known for driving to the basket? Is that something you're going to focus on or have noticed in the film?
No, we'll go to our, you know, guys that we go to, whether that's Travion Williams or Zach Edey or running plays for Sasha Stefanovic to shoot, or trying to get Jaden Ivey in the open court and out in space as much as possible. I think what it lends to, and this is from Bob's question also, is now what are they going to do? And then you got to make a good decision. You know, everyone's going to try to get their best players as many cracks at it as possible. It doesn't mean they get to shoot more, though. Doesn't mean they get to pass more. Like whatever organically happens, just take what the defense gives you and play from there. Sometimes those predetermined thoughts get you in trouble. Well, I'm going to go out and do exactly what I did against Yale. Well, they're going to defend some things differently than Yale. You know, we're going to do some things differently than Virginia Tech. So when you get to that, you know, you got to have a mature pulse about you. And if they want to overdo some things, get the ball out of your hands. You know, if they don't, they want to keep you one-on-one, then be aggressive. But whether it's Texas or Purdue, you know, we're going to try to get our best players in as many actions as possible and be aggressive. But, you know, just, you know, make good decisions and make good reads.
Matt, it seemed like Ethan Morton did a pretty good job on Keegan Murray in the Big Ten tournament defensively. It seemed like he did a pretty good job yesterday on Swain. How much can that kind of defensive versatility off the bench kind of help you this time of year?
I think can really help us. You know, I think Ethan's done a really good job for us. He's gotten to some tough grinds there when we got certain matchups, and I go with other guys, and he kept a positive attitude, and he's ready to play when his number's called. Yeah, but anytime you can have guys that are versatile, that can dribble, pass, and shoot, and defend, you know, that really helps us.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. I was just wondering what your recollections, what sticks out in your memory from that Little Rock game, and also I didn't know if your relationship with Chris, if it preceded that, or how familiar you were with him leading up to that particular game.
I was obviously familiar with him. I've known him through Pat Knight, who they were together with, at Texas Tech, and obviously he was a junior college coach before that. But what sticks out to me was just how hard they played. They did a great job of shot faking and using their dribble. With that group that he had at Little Rock, he had a quick turnaround there. Like he really came in there and established a great culture and played. You know, we're up 3 with 18 seconds, and we don't foul, and that's a lot of time, right? But they don't take their shot until 5 seconds to go. It really taught me a lesson in terms of most people at that time are going to go be aggressive right away because they're up against time. They'll even go get a quick 2 at that time. And so that was something that really jarred me. I thought we should have fouled there, and I made mistake of not fouling after it got under 10 seconds, even though at 8, 9 seconds is still a lot of time in that scenario, but you still don't like to see that 3 beat you at that time. And I've not went to the Final Four over a pretty similar scenario, so, and we did foul. So for you guys out there saying that you should foul or not foul, I've proven that we can lose either way. And so that's what sticks out. Like, I don't think I made a mistake in the Virginia. I didn't make a mistake in the Virginia game. I made a mistake in the Arkansas Little Rock game. And those stick with you more than the other. The losses stick with you, and that's what the question earlier, that's what stinks about our business. People have no idea how that churns with you, 5, 10 years later. It just, those moments just are tough. But you try to learn from it and be better and keep rolling. But no, he's a really good coach. Obviously, he doesn't advance and do the things that he's done at all those different stops without being a great coach.
Isaac Trotter, 24/7 Sports. Matt, it's easy for us to look and say, Zach Edey's 9 inches taller than Christian Bishop. He's going to be fine. Like, what stands out, though, about how Bishop defends, posts up, and how do you have to attack him?
Yeah, I think, Zach kind of nailed it when he talked the other day before our Yale game. Sometimes those guys are the hardest guys because they're athletic and they're quicker and they can beat you to a spot and they can get under you a little bit, and so it's more team defense than anything. Those guys can do that, but if they don't have somebody on that backside or that low man helping right there as they beat you to a spot and we can just throw over the top, then you're stuck. So it takes pressure on the basketball. It takes a good post defender. Then it takes some weak side help. And that's why the combination of skill and size and a dynamic guy like Jaden has really helped us. And that's the reason I really emphasize so much our decision making. As we just make good decisions and we can handle pressure, things have really worked for us this year. When we haven't, we've struggled.
Hey, Matt, Adam Rittenberg with ESPN. I know you've had a lot of teams in the NCAA tournament, but as you look at this one, what stands out most from a positive standpoint, and then what's been the biggest challenge with this team, despite its talent?
I think what stands out from a positive is our ability to shoot a good field goal percentage and be a good offensive rebound team. And to go into that also is the turnovers. When we do not, our total number of turnovers isn't that bad. It just seems like it's extreme when we lose. And sometimes it's not the total, it's like a total and a half. And then that 1/2, we never get over that hurdle. So I would say those things jump out more than anything. Because when we turn it over or we take tough shots, that really affects our transition defense like it affects everybody's. So they really go hand in hand right there. So as long as we get quality shots and take care of the basketball, we really help our transition defense. We get our defense set, and then that helps us. And we've had a lot of success there. But I would say those are the main strengths and weaknesses for our group.
Bob Kravitz with The Athletic. Getting back to Travion, he could start anywhere, obviously. He could get 25 to 30 minutes. Was it difficult to get him to sublimate his ego and accept his role, or did he come by it naturally?
Yeah. No, he was fine, and it wasn't something that we really met on and really discussed. I talk about things before, and, I'm always going to make decisions on what I think is best for our team. If I made decisions that were best on each individual, it would be different. This is just a different thing because he's first team All-League the year before. And so a lot of people have tried to discuss about playing together, and that's what we, I even talked about that. We did a little bit of it in the summer, but, we've struggled some here in the past month. We've been better defensively, but from a ball screen defense, transition defense, actual defensive standpoint, that really puts a burden on our team, when we're that way. Now, when he's in there by himself, he's got a lot of space with the skill that we put on the floor, and so does Zach, obviously. But no, he's been great. He's kept a good attitude. He's had it's been frustrating at times, and so and you understand that. You want to do well, you want to help your team, and then you don't get to play quite as much. But if you look how efficient those guys have been, they've both done a really good job for us.
2 more.
Billy Witz with the New York Times. Matt, yesterday, it was really apparent watching Texas play just how they kind of, their physical nature sort of took a really good offensive team out of a lot of what they were trying to do. I don't know, you play in a pretty physical conference.
Yes.
Is there anything that you can draw on? Was there a team that maybe, and I don't know if it was Villanova or teams in the conference that, you know, would maybe at least allow guys to think, okay, this is going to be similar to that.
Right. Well, you know, you went from Ohio State to Michigan State to Rutgers to Indiana. Like, those teams are, you know, pretty good defensively, and they're pretty physical, especially their guards. Like, they really get into you. And, you know, Villanova's obviously, you know, a great team, and, you know, we played them earlier in the year, and they have, like, super guards and physical guards, and they really stretch you out. So I would think the combination of those 5 teams, you know, in terms of Texas is their experience in all 3 guys. You know, that's they're all big physical guards that cause issues for you. But, you know, just the freedom of movement, you know, and dribbling the basketball, you know, especially with a guy like Jaden Ivey, like that's been the big emphasis, you know, this year. And I think you saw that yesterday, you know, with him driving and getting, I think, 7 fouls drawn. And so, like, you know, that's the emphasis that they've made and they've really talked about from a refereeing standpoint. So we'll see. You know, we'll see if they allow 2 hands or they allow that, or they're going to actually call it the way they say they're going to call it.
Last one.
Painter, North Carolina has officially won. I know you don't really care about that. Just a quick question. Do you know where your relationship with Chris Beard started, where you first saw him, and where that kind of founded?
Yeah. Well, he was a junior college coach when I first saw him. When I first met him when he was an assistant at Texas Tech. Obviously met him through Pat Knight was there. So I played AAU basketball in Bloomington, and I stayed at Nancy Knight's house, Pat's mom's house. So, and then Pat's brother coached our team, Tim Knight. So I've known their family for a long time. But that's how I got connected, you know, with Chris through Pat when they're on staff together at Texas Tech.
Coach, thank you. Good luck tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you.
We will have Texas student athletes shortly. about to be joined by Texas student athletes Timmy Allen, Andrew Jones, Marcus Carr, Courtney Ramey, and Christian Bishop.
You guys look great today. No problem. All these beautiful people. What tough.
Questions, please.
Smile.
Brian Davis, Austin American Statesman. Timmy, wanted to ask you about what's happening with your brother and how that's going. And Coach told us last night, apparently there's some discrepancy over who rightly owns the name Buckets.
Hey, man.
What's the story on that?
First of all, it's great to see him rocking out. He's got an interesting story. A lot of people got a lot of things to say about him, but he's clearly showing that none of that means nothing. So it's great to see him hooping. The story is I was the original Timmy Buckets. It's been my Twitter handle since like 7th grade or something like that. And then he started going crazy and it just went to Teddy Buckets. So either or, but we both get to the basket for sure.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. First, just to follow up, when did your brother start doing the Buckets nickname? And also for Marcus, you've faced Purdue a number of times in the past. Any advantage in having that experience with them, or does it work both ways, I imagine, with Purdue having seen you before?
They kind of always called him a bucket, but now it's Teddy Buckets. I don't even know, but it fits.
Yeah, I've had some, great battles with Purdue and Coach Painter. They're a great team. Obviously, it's nice to know an opponent, but me playing them, that was last year and 2 years ago, and this is a whole new season. They're a great team. They do a lot of similar things, so I'm sure they're going to be breaking out their old scouting report on me, and as well as what I've done this year, and I'm going to try and help my team and the coaches with just some of their tendencies and stuff that they like to do in the past.
Cedric Golden, Austin American Statesman. Christian, I know you're very familiar with guarding David McCormick, who's like 6'10", but you're going to be facing a mountain in Zach Edey, who's like 7'4". How big a challenge is that going to be for you? And also for Courtney, you've been adept at doubling down, dropping down, and helping out. How is that going to be a team collective for you guys to help out?
Yeah, I mean, when you play against guys like that, you just got to give a little bit more effort, and so that's what I'm going to be doing.
I'm going to do the same thing Christian said, just give a little bit more effort.
Right here, Rocket Haverland, the exponent, Purdue exponent. Christian, just to follow up on that, they also have another center in Trevion Williams who can pass the ball as well as score inside. Does that, which is very different compared to guarding Edey, is that something you're also having to work on defending as well?
Yeah, I mean, they got two post players that are very good, and so do we, so, yep.
Timmy, Bob Ballou, CBS Austin, you seem a little more reserved than your brother. Is that a fair statement? And for the guys, do we not get to see the side of Timmy that's the more outgoing side? Courtney, give us a little of that.
I wouldn't say reserved. I don't know. He's just a little bit more outspoken, but that's who he is. He like to have fun. Have you seen the interview after the game? That's exactly who he is all the time. But I don't know. I'm definitely a fun guy.
Timmy has his own dance.
Yeah.
You guys should see it one day.
Big fun guy over here.
Big fun guy.
Big fun guy.
Big fun guy.
Nick Moll, San Antonio Express News. Courtney, obviously y'all are, loose and confident and having fun right now. I know you came in with the thought that you could win this game and beat Virginia Tech in advance, but what is actually doing it do for your collective psyche as a team?
Say the question
What
again?
is actually coming in and actually getting that first round win do for your collective psyche as a team?
The first game is always the hardest game, and then especially with a bunch of players who haven't won a game in a tournament, I think that kind of helped us out getting that win and a tough-fought win, and then preparing for Purdue and trying to get the win tomorrow. We just have to prepare the right way and just give it our all. It's going to be a great battle. We just want to win again.
Jeff Howe, Horns 24/7, Courtney or Andrew, Marcus, whichever one of you guys wants to answer this. You guys have played some really good guards this year, Abaji, and you go down the list in the Big 12. What makes Jaden Ivey such a special player from what you guys have seen from the scouting report so far?
Why don't we start with Courtney, and we'll go down to Andrew and Marcus down the line, please.
Oh, I mean, he's a good player. He does a good job playing in transition. He's very athletic.
Yeah, like Courtney said, he's a good player. He's really highly regarded right now. And we just got to do our best to just try to shut him down. Every time we get a good high caliber guard like that, it's personal to us. So we just want to go out there and do our job.
Same thing they said. You know, he's a great player. Obviously, you've seen what he's done this year. We're just going to do our best, take what the coaches give us from the scouting report, try to execute it.
Adam Rittenberg with ESPN. Timmy, just what's this week like for your family with both of you guys playing, and what would it mean to continue going on with both of you guys advancing in the tournament?
I mean, it's special. Me and my brother think it's already written. Whatever happens, it's going to happen. But for me, it's so special to see him thrive because he done been through so much, and for him to see me hooping with Texas here in the tournament is special because it's my first time, and it's the first time we've both been together. So it's really fun for us. We're just soaking it all up, just trying to live another day.
For Courtney, I still gotta believe that you were offended or miffed that you were left off the all-defensive team, based on, especially on your 2 performances against Kansas. So, is that a fuel in your fire? Is that something that I'm sure your dad may be throwing it in your face, telling you, you got to go out there and prove them, or what? But just how much does that motivate you tomorrow?
Being left off that team was a goal of mine to get at the beginning of the season, and then the other coaches didn't vote for me, so I took that personally. And then just going into tomorrow, I'm just going to execute the game plan, do the best I can, and just leave it at that.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Sure. Good luck tomorrow night. And we'll be joined by Texas head coach Chris Beard in a few moments. Joined by Texas head coach Chris Beard. Questions, please.
Hey, Chris. Bob Ballou, CBS Austin Sports. Where do you start with 7'4", trying to defend 7'4", and if you can think back, who's the tallest player you've had to go up against?
Yeah, I think we start with just like all positions, all players in an NCAA tournament, second round game, 1 day to prepare. We try to draw comparisons with guys we played against this season. So there's some really big, massive players in the Big 12. So we tap into that. It's kind of where it starts.
Hey, Chris Cedric Golan, Austin American Statesman. I know you guys are going up against McCormick from Kansas, but rarely do you see like a 6'10" and a 7-foot guy on the court at the same time. What problems does that possess for you? You've got Dylan at 6'9" and Christian at 6'7". So what does that do for the collective in trying to shut those guys down?
Yeah, definitely, in my opinion, a part of Purdue's identity is their size. Coach Painter's teams always seem to have some of the biggest players in college basketball, so all sorts of challenges with that. I think there's some challenges on the other end too, though. It goes both ways.
Hey, Chris, Brian Davis, Austin American Statesman. When this season is done, whenever that is, and years from now, when you look back, how much is Timmy Allen going to be in your mind as the guy that helped you lay down a foundation here?
Yeah, I think with every season you reflect back, and the first thing I always think about is the players. Every team that I've been fortunate enough to coach, you think about the guys. So this will be no different, I think, when it comes reflection time. And the question was about Timmy, and I'm on the record with my love and appreciation and respect for Timmy Allen, especially recruiting him during the COVID-19 portal where we never really had a chance to meet face-to-face. We didn't have a chance to do an official visit. We just did it on some phone calls. And I don't even think me and Timmy did all that FaceTime, Zoom stuff. It was just an old school couple phone calls and right to it. And I don't want to speak for Timmy, but I think Timmy was everything that we were looking for and what we're about. And I think Timmy would tell you the same thing about us.
Hey, Chris, Isaac Trotter, 24/7 Sports. Zach Edey's pick and roll defense has been a big talking point this year. Like, what have you seen from him on that end, and how does he handle pick and rolls in your opinion?
Yeah, I think Matt does a great job setting it up. Obviously, there's going to be some NBA drop coverage, stuff like that, but he does more than that. And I think we're several hours into this, and we obviously don't have a lot of time to prepare, but I would say that, Coach Painter, he set up different ways for this team to play. So it's not like we can just have one layered game plan against their pick and roll coverages. So I've been really impressed with that, and it's a concern for us. We're still trying to figure out, kind of quite what our best strategy would be to play against them tomorrow night.
Nick Moyle, San Antonio Express News. Chris, the guys are up here before, and they look loose, they look confident, they look like they're having fun. I know you all come into this month thinking you can win games, but now that you have proof you can win in this tournament, what does that do for their psyche, and how are you seeing that kind of manifest now?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that's y'all's perception, because that's the plan. I think the NCAA tournament, just like any other great opportunity in life, it's important to me, that you enjoy it. So we have a twofold plan in March Madness, and one is always to be us. So what that means is when it's time to work, we're going to work. When it's time to play, we're going to play. But when it's also time to enjoy ourselves, we're not going to act like we're in a funeral line here. We're in March Madness. We're one of 32 teams left in the tournament, and we want to enjoy it, whether that be a bus ride or pregame meal or press conference or evening snack. We definitely want to be us. And so the responsibility to do what we've done all year long, to get to this point, to be one of the last teams standing, but also to enjoy the ride, not just the destination. To smell the roses is our vocabulary.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. I was just wondering, you've touched on it a little bit, but your relationship with Matt Painter, how much has that kind of helped your own development, and what's the biggest thing that has caught your attention about what he's done at Purdue?
Yeah, Coach Painter and I kind of came up in the business at the same time. I had a lot of respect for him when he was an assistant at Purdue, working for one of the all-time greats. I had a similar experience working for Coach Knight, one of the all-time greats. It's great to see those two guys too, Coach Knight and Coach Katie, friends now. It's just awesome. When I see those pictures and tweets, it just makes me feel good. And so just watching Matt, how he handled himself as an assistant working for a Hall of Fame coach. I know his love of the university, his alma mater. And certainly what he did at Southern Illinois, if I'm not mistaken, just looking up to him, and the season he had there was special. And a lot of the things we did years ago at Little Rock were based on kind of what Matt and those guys did there. Then to see him get an opportunity quickly to go back to Purdue, to follow the shadows of a Hall of Famer, which is tough to do. He walks that line of showing respect for the past, but also putting his own stamp on a program perfectly, maybe never been executed better. And I know it's always been a big part of what we do. I feel like we do a great job showing respect to the places we've coached, including Texas. But we also want to put our stamp on a program, so Matt's done that. Our personal relationship, it means a lot to me. We're not quantity friends. I don't think we've ever vacationed together, and we don't talk every week, but he is one of my kind of mentors in coaching. I've reached out to him before on coaching moves, on recruiting, just on advice. I've had probably a dozen really meaningful conversations with Matt over the years, and he's somebody that I really listen to and respect. And like I told you guys, yesterday, I don't know if this is a good thing or bad thing, but Matt was my pathway to the ABA.
Craig Way, Longhorn Radio Network. Given their far-flung locales, how rare is it to have all three daughters at one site, and how often does that get to happen?
Yeah, those opportunities are coming less and less as the girls get older and do their own thing, but to have them all here today means a lot. Avery from New York, Ella came in from college, and then Margot skipping school again. Shout out to the public school districts out there allowing students to participate in March Madness. But March Madness has been great to all of us. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. It's a special thing, and I think there's a big family element in this. There really is. Certainly the teams that are families to this point have an advantage, and I think ours is one of them. Our team's connected right now. And so I think, a lot of teams, family on three, and, they don't mean it. When we say family, it really is a family. It's been really impressive, and one of my highlights of this first season at Texas, getting everything together as quickly as we have. We're playing the right way when it matters most. And we look forward to tomorrow night's game. It's going to be a great challenge. I think we'll have to play our best game of the season, period. We have no backup plan for that. We're not going to get through this one unless we're hitting on all cylinders. But that's what the NCAA tournament is. You got to play your best game at some point. And for us, that's definitely tomorrow night.
Billy Witz with the New York Times. Chris, you've alluded to the quick turnaround. You have a really you have a large staff. I'm sure looking at tape of Purdue over the last week. But how does a quick turnaround impact kind of what you can give to your guys, and just make sure that they're it's not too much?
Yeah, definitely a balance. It's one of the many things I learned when I spent some time with Alabama football with Coach and those guys. Just the idea that you've got all this information, but the decisions on what you give the players and when is really important. So we obviously are going to watch hours and hours and hours of film, and we got to get this thing down to 12 to 15-minute segments for the players. I'm a big believer in attention span, because I know I've got the same attention span. So we try to take hours and hours of information and get to the players in an efficient way. We draw back on experiences when we're fortunate enough to get to a second game here. In our league, from time to time, we'll play a Saturday, Monday game. So that's a one-day prep. So we remind the guys that we've been in this situation before. In the non-conference, we always like to put ourselves in different situations, a one-day prep, a two-day prep, and sometimes even a 0-day prep. Because for us, if we're going to try to win the conference tournament in Kansas City in the Big 12, you got to win back-to-back We got to work on that a little bit. We haven't been very good at that. So we draw on experience, and then we spend a lot of time trying to be as efficient as we can. You know, I've got all sorts of great ideas, but I'm probably only going to have the chance to really get about 2 or 3 across to the players.
Chris, Adam Rittenberg with ESPN. You mentioned what Timmy's meant to you. What do you think this week is like for him and his family with his brother playing and everything that they've been through as a family?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. We had a lot of emotion watching Teddy play. You know, just watching Timmy enjoy that. Our whole team was fired up. We delayed a couple of our film sessions to keep watching Chris Janz's New Mexico State team and Teddy play. You know, you guys might have to check on that, but I think Timmy was the original bucket. It's my understanding that Teddy took it. So, you know, I love Teddy, but I'm a Timmy guy. And so I shout out to Chris Jans there. The job he's doing at New Mexico State is special. And but it's a family affair in the NCAA tournament in a lot of ways. Also enjoying watching some of our former coaches, former assistant coaches that are still in the tournament. You know, Al Pinkins is coaching Florida right now on an interim basis and just won his first NIT game the other day and pulling for Al. And certainly Coach Adams and a lot of our guys are out there still playing. So a lot of family parts in this tournament. You know, you root for your guys and you feel bad for your guys when their time ends.
Yeah, Chris, Dylan gave you all some good minutes yesterday, especially in the first half. And just given Purdue's size, he's probably going to have to give you all some good minutes tomorrow. So how important was it for you just to get him some substantial run in yesterday's game?
Yeah, Dylan's been great. You know, I'm on the record there, and I'll state it again. What Dylan's done this season is very difficult to do. There's only a few people that could do it, and you got to be elite to be playing the way he's playing. Dylan had a major surgery. He had no summer off season, no weight room work, no fall practice. He starts practicing. He gets cleared to play only a certain amount of minutes. I remember playing a big Stanford team. He's out there playing with courage, doesn't have his legs under him. So he's just basically tried to get better and develop without an off season, and he's doing great. A lot of his minutes right now are based on matchups, but certainly we all know where Dylan's future is going. In my opinion, he's a future NBA player. He can really help us in this tournament. He has. I think he'll be a big part of our game plan tomorrow. It's no secret. But I have a lot of respect for Dylan. While going through all this adversity, he's just stayed the course. He's been an unbelievable teammate. He's been poised. There's been no mood swings. He's a real pro, and I think this adversity is going to only make him stronger. I've viewed him from the day that we started talking to him on the phone in the recruiting process as one of the best players in college basketball. I still see him that way, and I think his time is coming. It could very well be tomorrow night, no doubt about it.
Coach, thank you. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thanks.
We'll have Iowa State student athletes up next a little bit after 3. Thank you.